Well, here's SABC News correspondent Trent Murray joining us now from Tel Aviv with the very latest update. Trent, I'm not sure about you, but it is hard to keep up in terms of just the developments here. We just heard, of course, from that clip, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned Israel, quote unquote, do not drop those bombs after it ordered powerful strikes on Iran, he says. Now, this is hardly a few hours after agreeing to a ceasefire. What can you tell us at this point?
It's many moving pieces, and it is all moving incredibly fast, isn't it? But we know that this ceasefire came somewhat out of the blue overnight here, with President Trump confirming he had managed to get both sides to agree to it. Now, what appears to have happened is, in the sort of hours and minutes leading up to that ceasefire kicking in, both sides have exchanged heavy fire. We know the Israelis continued dropping armaments and bombs across military targets, and we know just before the ceasefire came into place, there was another ballistic missile attack in Beersheba, the city in the south. Now, 4 people were killed in that attack, and several apartment buildings were destroyed here. Now, as the ceasefire came in at around 7 a.m. local time, we're being told that the Israelis detected several launches of Iranian missiles, including in the north. Residents up there say that they heard the explosions from the interceptions, and that is when we got this incredibly strong bellicose language and rhetoric from the defence minister saying that he'd ordered the IDF to carry out additional airstrikes on the Iranian capital, Tehran. Now, that is when we've seen this big intervention from President Trump, who seems to have pulled the reins up somewhat, I guess you could say, on the Israelis. We're being told President Trump spoke with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the telephone after he made those remarks on the camera, and he basically asked the Prime Minister to turn the planes around as they were on their way to Tehran. Now, this version of events seems to have just been confirmed by Israel's Prime Minister, because they've put out a statement saying that pursuant to the conversation with President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, Israel has refrained from additional attacks. But they are saying that they did respond by destroying one radar installation near Tehran. So they have still dropped a bomb of some description, but it seems more of a symbolic gesture rather than the large-scale attack that the Defence Minister this morning seemed to have been promising. It would appear that this ceasefire, following that intervention from the President, is meaning that it is holding, but it's still in a very fragile state right now. And I think the coming hours and coming days are going to be very critical to see whether it stays long-term.
Right, Trent, a very quick one. You know, this ceasefire felt very fragile from the get-go. How have world leaders reacted, if any?
Well, a number of world leaders have, of course, welcomed the ceasefire, because we know many of them have been calling for de-escalation. I think there will be a lot of discussion around this at that NATO summit in The Hague in the Netherlands, where President Trump is on his way to now to speak with other NATO leaders. We, of course, have seen countries in this region as well express their support for the ceasefire, including Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Of course, Qatar itself last night coming under Iranian fire during that ballistic missile attack on an Air Force base there by Iran's Revolutionary Guard. So, look, you know, this is a delicate region, a very unpredictable region. I think right now everyone just holding their breath to see that this ceasefire brokered by the President can remain in place.
Absolutely. Trent, thank you so much for that update. SABC News correspondent Trent Murray joining us there from Tel Aviv with the very latest, of course, also monitoring the fact that this is a very tricky situation, changing within hours. So we'll be monitoring developments there in the Middle East.